First up, we got Andy, who says, Frankie, the Loom method works for some, but not for others. Some leads are just too lazy to watch the Loom video in chat. They still ask questions that are clearly being fully explained in the Loom video. So for sure, I know that they didn't watch it. My Loom video is only 7 minutes long. Oh, 2 patterns for serious leads. They still ask questions in chat, and they ask for a meeting. Any clever way to handle this? Max up next. He says, does anyone here have cold calling experience with dentists? I can barely get a hold of them. Adam says, hey, everyone. One of my lead gen clients just had their Google Ads account suspended for unacceptable business practices. I tried appealing it twice and made some detailed updates to the landing page, but no luck so far. The account is frozen, so I can't edit the ads themselves. Feels like something triggered by a bot, and I keep getting a vague response, so it's difficult to resolve the issue. Has anyone dealt with this recently and managed to get their account reinstated? Would love some any tips or insights.
Yo, it's Frankie Fihn. Beach mode engaged. Looms loaded, AI's humming. Let's go!
Welcome to the machine, everybody. Are we in? Did it work? I never know if it worked. Come on, Facebook. I believe in you. There we go. Welcome back to another weekly Q&A, my agency motherfuckers. For those of you guys who are new here, my name's Frankie Fihn, and I've written 2 best-selling books and grown 3 of these old agency things over 20 years, 200 plus clients, and I'm a foul-mouthed degenerate, so brace yourselves for what's coming next. Anyways, just a quick little announcement before we get rocking and rolling. For those of you guys who are interested checking it out, I'm working on the next level of the agency mastermind, trying to make this a more better, cooler, inspired place. For those of you guys who are interested in leveling up, you can check out more about that at beyondagencyprofits.com, and you can go to a link there that says Wolfpack. That is the name of our phoneless and meetingless agency mastermind, and check that shit out. Anyways, let's get into the good stuff with Frankie Fihn, the greatest of all time, the man they call the man, His Holiness, the dude with the golden dad guns. Because you aren't tough enough, fast enough, smart enough, or good looking to challenge the great one. All right. That's enough wrestling nonsense. But let's get into the good stuff here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Fihn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum. Forgot my line for a second there. Just being real with you guys. Man, I had a weekend, just so you guys know. I don't know how you guys are doing, but I felt super drained and just took it easy, as much as one can take it easy with 3 kids. So I still had to take them out and entertain them, but I took them to places where it's mostly them playing and me sitting. So we had some of that. Anyways, let's get into the questions. Let's get into the good stuff here. First up, we got Andy, who says, Frankie, the Loom method works for some, but not for others. Some leads are just too lazy to watch the Loom video in chat. They still ask questions that are clearly being fully explained in the Loom video. So for sure, I know that they didn't watch it. My Loom video is only 7 minutes long. 2 patterns for... Oh, sorry, that's Andy right there. Oh, 2 patterns for serious leads. They still ask questions in chat, and they ask for a meeting. Any clever way to handle this? Couple of things that I wanted to go into on this first, just so you know, okay? First thing is, everybody watches videos these days. Okay, maybe not everybody, but 99% of the world watches videos, whether it's on TV or on their phone. I'll tell you, if somebody takes their kids to the park, just look around. All the parents are on their fucking phone watching videos, right? So there's some point which everybody watches videos. So almost always, if they're not watching your video, it is not a question of don't assume people are too lazy and too stupid and they can't understand it. It's almost always because the promise of what's being promised inside the video does not sound exciting enough to open it. So the example I gave to you in text, but for the benefit of everyone else who didn't read that, is imagine I said I got a video. I just buried an $18 million treasure in my backyard. Who's interested in watching the video to see exactly where it is? People are going to be me, I want that fucking video. And there's actually a real guy, by the way, somewhere in the Arizona desert. He buried his life savings and gave clues, and somebody's going to find a treasure one day full of mountains of money. Flip side of that is if I say, hey, this is a low grade video of my mother-in-law shaving her legs and she's yodeling at the same time. Who wants to see it? Nobody's going to open that video. So I don't want you to assume that the reason they're not opening it is because they're too lazy. And I want you to assume that what you are offering or promised, because everything is really an offer, It just doesn't sound exciting enough that they want to open it. So that's the first caveat I wanted to say. So in your specific case, it sounds like you built a tool. You mentioned this in the reply that like for people who want to track their leads through things like WhatsApp, because in a lot of the other countries outside of America, there's this whole other world, and most people use WhatsApp. It's the most commonly used app, and they can't track their sales. So to me, if that's the case, they're probably problem aware, and it would just start a simple conversation like, "Hey, I had an idea for you to be able to track all the leads and sales that are coming through WhatsApp down to the penny, so you could know it's working. Would you be interested in checking out a video?" And I would stop there, and I'll tell you why. Because if they will not watch a video for that, and they won't open that, they probably won't buy it down the road either. Like, that's just like, sometimes not every offer crushes it the way we want it to. So this is why I invented what I call a hand raiser, which is a short summary of what's being promised. And you want to figure out the promise before you build the thing. Now, the cool thing about your case is like there's a lot of benefits to being able to tracking, and you could position this around different problems. A tracking problem, a slow season problem. Do you want to see if your salespeople are doing what they're supposed to on WhatsApp, etc.? But if they won't respond to the one sentence version of it, I promise they will buy it. The analogy I use of like what a hand raiser actually is, and I use these to test marketplaces to find out what I should build or should not build, like in real time very quickly, is imagine I wanted to set up my friend with the next door neighbor, and let's just call them Mike and Susie. I said, "Hey Mike, are you interested in getting to meet Susie? I think she'd be like a really good match for you." Well, if Mike says he's interested, then I can put all the details together in a video, like when are we meeting, who pays, what time do I got to be there, should I dress casual or should I just wear stupid game over shirts and shit like that. Flip side of that, he says, "Nah, man, Susie's butt fucking ugly. I would never get together with Susie." Well, I don't really need to figure out the rest of the details of that offer if he's rejecting it. So, like the one sentence version of what you want to really figure out is get really clear on what you're actually promising. Hey, like I can help you. I got an idea to help you track all this stuff through WhatsApp, so you know exactly whether or not it's working. Would you be interested in finding out more? If you do that, chances are they'll open the video, but you never know until you try. Second piece you mentioned is I deal with this a lot where people habitually want to jump on calls because it's just what they've been programmed to do for a long time. And so I get asked this question a lot. I go, what do you do when somebody says, you send them a video and they say, "Hey, can we jump on a call?" What I usually do, by the way, is this is a little counterintuitive, but I say, "Yes, I'm happy to jump on a call." And then I give them a reason why I can't do that right now. Right? "Hey, I'm with the kids. It's super loud here. Do you mind if I just shoot you over a video with what I had in mind? You can check out the video, and then if you still think we should have a call at the end of it, let me know." And almost always, if you've done it right, the video answers 95% of the questions they were going to ask. And then if they still want to do a call, believe it or not, there are occasional times where I do a little 5-minute answer a question or two before we get started kind of call. I don't consider those sales calls because you're not really selling. At that point, they already know the price. They know the details. Usually they just have some kind of question about, here's my situation. Would it still work? Like, somebody may ask, "Hey, the example I saw was for somebody in a big town. I'm in a small town. Would it still work for a small town?" Yeah, it still works in a small town. You just, the numbers are going to be smaller, but it still works in a small town. Yeah. You want to get started? All right. Like, that's the sales call, right? So I say that to you because when people push you for calls, rather than like getting into almost what I would call arguing with them, where you're telling them, "No, fuck you and your stupid calls." Like, I don't try and change all their beliefs. I just say, "Hey, I'm happy to, but can't do that right now." Right? So how about you check out the video and let me know if we should still talk. I put a lot of the details in there for you. All right. So I hope that's a helpful answer. We got Max up next. He says, "Does anyone here have cold calling experience with dentists? I can barely get a hold of them." All right. So I'm going to give you guys something here. First of all, I hate cold calling and would never do it to grow an agency. I know there are some people who do it and are very good at it. So, and also I should mention, cold calling is a different thing in different industries. Okay. So firstly, one of the industries that I would never dare cold calling are dentists, for the simple reason that dentists don't answer their own phone. There is a receptionist. And so even just getting through to the receptionist, to the dentist, is a whole fucking ordeal in and of itself, right? Like just getting through to that person. As where, when you compare that to say like home services and trades, the roofer is often the one answering the phone. The restoration guy is often the one answering the phone. The landscaper is the one answering the phone. So it's a different ball game if you get direct to owner, and therefore you kind of can like shoot your shot, for lack of a better way of saying that. So I say that to you because I don't think you should cold call dentists as a general rule. But having said that, if you do insist that that is what you would like to do to get through in that industry, there is a guy that I think has really great stuff. He's not super well known. His name is Ari Gelper. And you can go watch Ari Gelper stuff on YouTube. It's free, by the way. And he talks about how to get through with cold calling. And one of the things that he says is, firstly, one of the ways at which people open on a cold call means that like they're already sort of closed off. And he says there's a sort of unconscious script that everybody uses selling. And it sounds like this. They say, hey, my name is Frankie. I'm calling from company XYZ. The reason I'm calling today is because ... And before you finish that sentence, they already know you're selling something. The flip side of that is he says when customers cold call, or in your case, when patients cold call, they don't talk like that. They don't say, hey, my name's Frankie. I'm calling from my house. Do you take insurance type ABC? They just say, hey, do you guys take insurance ABC? Like customers tend to be way more direct. Patients tend to be way more direct. So what he suggested is when you get a gatekeeper, to ask the question, like, hey, who's the person in charge of the website? I need to talk to them. There's something they need to know about, like kind of thing. And you don't introduce yourself. You don't say, my name's Frankie. I'm from company XYZ. And then when you get through to that person, you like, hey, Mr. Dentist, are you the one in charge of, ABC Dental? Or do you have somebody you put in, on top of that kind of thing? And that is a general way to be able to get through. But having said that, I still wouldn't even try and tackle it. I wouldn't try and cold call dentists. I always compare it to, like, I think strategic marketing is getting in front of people in ways in which they think they discovered you. So imagine, for example, if you had like a supplement, okay? And imagine you could set up your supplement stand right in front of the fucking gym. Like, I know there would probably be some logistics and legal reasons why you couldn't do that, but let's just, for the sake of imagination, imagine you could park your supplements right in front of the gym. You're probably going to sell a lot of fucking supplements because those are the people who buy supplements, and they're going to think they found you. They go, hey, I saw you at the gym. In reality, you parked your ass in front of the gym. So one of my favorite things to do in every industry is to park myself in front of people and have them think they found me, which is a lot easier to do digitally, by the way. Park if I'm selling, and the way to discover this, by the way, and I have a whole methodology. I call it the shoe stores. But Jay Abraham says one of the most powerful things you can ask is, what does your client buy before they hire you, after they hire you, and instead of? And the more you know what else they're buying, those are the places you can put your sort of supplement stand in front of the fitness people, right? So I would get into thinking more strategically. Like for me, I would way rather message one dental podcast that's like top in the industry and get in front of it and like get on a show and get in front of 10,000 dentists at once than try and cold call 10,000 dentists one at a time. And by the way, if you cold called 10,000 dentists one at a time and then got on one podcast, I bet you'd get a bigger result because they would see you more as an expert, right? Instead of just being like a door-to-door salesman, which is what a lot of cold calling does. So I'm not against cold calling. I think it works really, really well in home services kind of industries. And I think in those industries, it's actually a smart, viable strategy. But I think anytime you're trying to call a professional service that has somebody answer the phone that is not the owner, like, man, you have to be masterful at getting through to people. And it's still, to me, the least efficient way of doing it. So there's the end of my rant. If you guys want to know more about shoe stores, by the way, in version 3.0, the Beyond the Agency box, I've not yet updated the audio version, but the physical copies and the PDF copy, like the Kindle and whatever, are updated to like go into that methodology. And in essence, we're just finding out what else they buy and go and position ourselves in front of that, which I think is a much better way to bring dentists to you and bring them to you as you being the expert. Anyways. All right, next question. Hope that's helpful. By the way, Facebook's doing that thing where I don't see your comments and messages, but I'm here. I know you guys are here. Okay, so it says, hi, I help specific businesses by providing specific solutions in the electrical niche that no other provides in my market. That solution is like the $100 bill. Learning from your book and much videos, knowledge applied. For them to solving it, obviously this person's not first language English, so we're going to be gentle with them. So for them, solving it without me cost about 10 to 20 lakh in my currency. Also, it will solve their day-to-day production much more and cheaper than if they spend 15 to 20 lakh on that. And to solve it, I'm charging them only about 5 to 6% or even less than 1 lakh. But even in this scenario, they're bitching about price of my charges and saying their overall existing setup cost is about 7 to 10 lakhs or things like that. Even before I was a generalist to other clients, they were also not paying what I deserved. Now, I'm super specialist in my work, and I'm completely unique, and no other is providing, and they want it, but still bitching about that. What solution would you provide in this situation? In my opinion, this is the expectations other electricians have set on generic services that they expect about my solution. Please, if you would have time, suggest me direction or symptoms of my current situation in comments or any other quick way. Thanks for giving answer in the Q&A. So I want to give an answer to this in a way that's useful to everybody listening to this, okay? And the answer is found in a Pareto principle, something that you guys may have heard of called 80-20. So I just reached on my bookshelf, and I buy a lot of books, okay? That's like 2 handfuls of books of what I could take off. And by the way, I am not unique in that regard. Many of you listening to this will also be avid book readers, right? So like, it's not a brag. There's plenty of people listening to this that got more books than I do, right? It's not a bookshelf flex. But I wanted to make the point is my bookshelf is full of business and marketing and self-development kind of books. And the question I have is, do you think everybody reads those books, or some people read a lot of them and most people read none? And the answer is the latter, by the way. It's an 80-20 thing. By comparison, I have a brother back home in Canada. His name is Jordan. And Jordan ain't ever read a book in his fucking life, and I doubt he will till he dies. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to keep reading business books. So when it comes to business books, okay, there's an 80-20. If you could put 4 Jordans and 1 Frankie in the room, you would find out that I buy all the business books, right? You could say, oh, we average 30 books a person, but really it's just all me buying the books. And those 4 other guys, my 4 brothers don't. Flip side of that is like my brother's like huge into UFC. So he buys all the pay-per-views. I think paying for pay-per-views in general. I'm just not a pay for entertainment pay-per-views kind of guy. I used to, like when I was a kid, like pay for wrestling pay-per-views, but I don't think wrestling's been good in like 20 years. So, and there's too many like free streaming shit, like where you can off the record illegally watch those things. So point being, if you could put 4 Frankies and 1 Jordan in a room and you said, I'm trying to sell pay-per-views for a fight, my brother's going to spend all the money on that and you won't get a dime from any of the 4 from me. So we're all 80-20 buyers of some things and not of others. So when you have people pushing back to you on price and bitching and stuff, that to me is the surest signs that you're just simply talking to people who aren't used to spending money on that. And that's because it does not matter what industry you're in. I just described at least 80% of the people. That means 80% of the dentists don't spend money on growth and advertising and things like that, or very little of it. 80% of the e-commerce stores don't spend that much money. And in your case, 80% of the electricians. So if you treat your niche as really anyone who fits the criteria of electrician and not the 20% who are actively spending and growing money, most of your problems are just right there. Like literally, like I call them symptoms of talking to non-buyers. Oh my God, your fee is how much, blah, blah, blah. We're actually just like we're sending a direct mail thing with one of our new mastermind guys, Mike, who's super cool, by the way. Working on it like a little bit this morning, and we got a list of all the businesses that are actively spending money in his market. Not all of them, but a large number of them, and we're going to send a mailer to those people. And in doing so, we're talking to people who are already wasting money on value pack coupons in his case, and Angie's List and stuff like that. So we don't have to convince them you should spend money. They're doing it. We just have to convince them, like, that's kind of a waste of money. Why don't you take some of that and move it over here to something that actually works? Right? So I say that to you because, like, most of your problems are just related to you're talking to 80% non-buyers and then trying to convince them that they should spend money, and they don't. What you have to do is become a better detective. And part of this, like, one of the simplest things you can ask them to find out whether they're actively spending money or not is go, what else are you doing to grow this thing? And if they tell you, word of mouth and, things like that and referrals, you should run. If they tell you things like, well, we're currently running YouTube ads and we're trying this, like, that's the answer you want to hear. So I'm here to tell you that for any of you guys who talk to non-buyers, you will bang your head against the wall going, why don't these people want to spend money? You go, but this is such a good business book. And they're trying to tell you, I don't read business books. And you're like, but it has the best marketing lesson ever on page 3. And they're going, I don't read books. And so what you need to do is just move over and identify the person who does buy the kinds of things you sell. And what you'll find is, like, if you're pitching me on a business book, it's like, as long as there's one good idea in there, I'll give you a credit card for a book. I'm down. Just did that yesterday. I got 2 new books that I don't know if any guys are like that. I got 17 half-finished books, but I like to read a bunch of books at the same time. I do eventually finish them. But anyways, I share that with you guys because, like, you have no idea how many agency problems are simply that agencies are talking to the wrong people. And by the way, 80% of businesses do not want to grow. They may, like, if you ask 100 business owners, do you want to grow and make more money? You know how many of them say yes? All of them, okay? Like 99 out of 100 on the worst day. But you know how many of them actually do it in the real world? Invest money, spend, and really do it? Like rubber meets the road, do it? Maybe like 10 or 20? Right? So your clients are the 10 or 20 that are doing it, not the 80 to 90 that are saying they would. That's why I say, like, trust behavior, not words. How do I know they would invest money in their business? Because they're fucking doing it. So much of those problems are caused by, like, I think of my mom's dental office, okay? So here's an example, okay? Somebody who would make a bad client, and most people didn't know it. So dentists, everybody thinks dentists got money. But in this particular case, the guy who owned the dental practice my mom worked at, his name was Dr. Werner Weishar, and he was independently wealthy. Like, his family owned a bunch of real estate. They own a chain of haircutting places, and he also was a dentist, and he owned a dental practice. And he had no real interest in growing it because he was already rich. He was already well off. It was just more work and more headaches. And he liked having one small building with 3 dentists. And ergo, they never invested in ads. They never invested in other things. And he didn't want to grow. And for him, it didn't make sense to. And it was only after 26 years he decided to sell the place. And this corporation bought it, the Dental Corporation of Canada or some shit like that. And they said, you have to get a website. Like, we won't buy this thing if it doesn't have a website. So after like 26 years, he finally bought a website. Out of force, by the way, not out of like, consciously, I really want a website because I want to grow. So they went 26 years without buying a website. Like, even one fucking website. And they were fine with that because they had enough word of mouth and stuff like that. And so he didn't want to grow. So I don't care what you offer, what you say, what you do. If you talk to the wrong person in your industry, like Dr. Werner Weishar, he ain't going to give you a credit card. He just, like, it's not what he's doing. But if I identify the dentist who's got four locations over there and they're spending, $100,000 a month on Google pay-per-click and most of it being wasted, like, chances are that person's going to make for a better client. And I know they have money to invest because they're doing it. Jeff Miller has a name for this. He calls it $1 million budgets versus $1 million dreams. You want clients who have $1 million budgets, not $1 million dreams. Dreams are like, I've never done anything. And a lot of times when you do convince a non-buyer to advertise, fuck do they do it timidly. So I remember we got a personal injury attorney who He had spent 30 years growing from word of mouth, and he said, I know I need to advertise. I'm losing good cases to lawyers who are worse than me because they're just better at advertising. This is the year I'm going to do it. And so he agreed to do some Facebook ad stuff with us. Now, mind you, and this is the most expensive Google pay-per-click industry on earth. It costs $200 a click, not even a conversion in his industry. Just get one person to click a fucking link, costs $200. And we ran, I think, $200 in Facebook ads. And then all of a sudden the account froze. And I didn't know what we were doing. It's like, why are the ads turned off? What happened? And then eventually, after like investigating it for a day, we figured out he had set a limit on his account of like $200. And so I called him. I'm like, what's up, dude? I thought you said you wanted to advertise. And he basically was like, well, I spent $200. Like, I'm not a millionaire. Where's my return on investment from $200 in ads? And I realized if I had trusted behavior, not words, that guy had never once invested money in 30 years. But I trusted the lip service of him saying, I want to grow, I want to do it, now's the time. And so my point being is, like, when you get non-buyers to invest with you, fuck, do they ever do that shit timidly? Like one toe in the water, oh, it's cold. Oh, I lost $200 on Facebook ads. Never again am I going to advertise, right? Like, that's how they advertise. So stop trying to sell books to people who don't read books. Stop trying to, sell pay-per-views to people who don't watch pay-per-views, and start focusing, double down on the ones who do, which, by the way, is like 20% of them. 20% of the electricians will actively spend money. So that means if you could get 10 of them in a room, 2 of them spend money and 8 of them don't. And most of your fee pushback and your shit is too much and when guarantee me this and guarantee is like literally you're just talking to somebody who doesn't invest. And then you're assuming, by the way, we assume that because what we do is business growth and that we want more money, we assume every business wants that as well. And I promise you, there's tons of examples where most people don't want that, right? So you're fighting their own behavior, or you can identify the ones who already agree with your behavior. Jason Kanigan calls this the 2 sales. The first sale in your case is you should advertise at all, or you should market yourself at all. And the second sale is with me. And by the way, if you talk to non-buyers, which you are, the sale they're fighting you on is the first one, that I should advertise or market myself at all, right? And I should have to pay for it. And I should, it's not, and by the way, that has nothing to do with your fees. So like there's a tendency to think it's a pricing structure issue or things like that. Or, my niche, everybody in my niche is broke. It's not any of those things. You're just targeting the wrong segment. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, by the way. 80% of people don't spend money. So your job is to identify the 20% that do. And by the way, they don't hide. They have websites. They got Google ads. You can tell they've been doing SEO. They got reviews. They got a TikTok channel. They got a YouTube channel. They're on the fucking radio. They're on the billboard. Like they're not hiding. You can't advertise and hide it, right? So they're very easy to identify once you know what to look for. Anyways, I hope that's helpful because you just got a problem with not talking to buyers. All right. Next up, we got Sonny Ballsacks over there. Our man. I added the ball part of that, but Sonny Sacks. He said, I just finished building the coolest thing I've ever built. It's a Manx scenario that connects to Service Titan that runs quietly in the background to save lost jobs. Finds open estimates exactly 24 hours after they're created. Confirms there's no sold sibling on the job. Verifies there's a textable mobile number. Sends a 4-sequence text follow-up. Hey, John, just a gentle reminder about your open estimate with ABC. Reply yes to continue. If they reply yes, the CSR gets notified to call and close it. 0 extra work for the office. Just drop it in the calendar. By the way, what Sonny's working on, which I also think is awesome, by the way. If you talk to 100 clients, and this is something that if you know and understand, you can make your agency life and your service deliverable a lot easier. It's never to say our business is easy, but it is much easier. And that is, if you talk to every client, they will speak to you as if what they have is a traffic problem. We need more new people. Talk to 100 businesses and probably all 100 will tell you we need new people. That's a traffic problem. We need strangers who've never heard of us to come into this establishment. And I'll tell you, especially in like non-emergency niches, which describes 99% of them, that is very rarely true. What they actually struggle with is 2 things. One, the actual conversion of prospects along the way. As you mentioned, Sonny, in your case, you notice that after They quote a job. If that person doesn't jump out of their chair and ninja hurl a credit card at them, they'll probably just never touch them again. Meanwhile, if you just follow up with those people, like there's lots of reasons why they can come around. And then the second thing they struggle with is their average order value. Like, so I'll give you an example. Like, imagine a restaurant. They get somebody to come and try the restaurant once. It's $100 dinner. They made $100. You know, assuming it's all profit. We know it's not, but they get $100 one time. Imagine a restaurant that has better retention, and they get you to sign up for a text blast list, and then they keep inviting you back, and you come in for a special once a week. Well, in a year, instead of spending $100 one time, you're going to spend $100 5,200 times, right? So the second restaurant that has a 5,200 average order value instead of 100, who do you think is going to be able to spend more money on advertising and getting new people? Obviously, the one who has a much higher average order value. That's what businesses really struggle with. They struggle with when they say it in terms of things like, oh, the ads are so expensive and it's hard to get new people and stuff like that. But it's really, if you fix your average order value, you have almost unlimited spending. And I would see this, by the way, the top attorneys for like years. I worked with smaller attorneys, and they would say like, oh, that guy on TV, he spends like $400,000 a month. I don't have that kind of deep pockets. Then I got to consult with the guy doing $400,000 a month, and he would say, I'll spend $6,000 to get a $6,000 case. And I would say, why would you do that? And he says, well, I have a referral system on the back end. So every case multiplies into 2 later. So I just break even the first year, and I make money the second and the third year. That works for me. And I was like, oh, so simple, right? Their average order value is higher. So whenever you guys build something that helps clients with their conversion and or average order value, it's going to work faster. It's going to work better. And as Sunny has pointed out, there are lots of ways to get automation and AI to do that, because a lot of times the answer for why they convert so little is they don't follow up enough. So I know, for example, like if I take an attorney who's bad on the phone and one who's really good on the phone, the bad ones will often, they'll call somebody one time after they fill out a form. If that person doesn't pick up, they'll just mark it as a dead lead, didn't answer. The bigger law firms, they know that the first time you call somebody from an unknown number, especially, a lot of times they don't even pick up just because they don't recognize the number. And so you have to leave a voicemail and go, hey, it's that lawyer you tried filling out a form with. I'm trying to talk to you now. Oh, okay. And then the second time you call, they'll pick up the phone because they go, oh, that was the person, right? And so they'll follow up as many as 6 times, right? And they know they make more money with 6 calls instead of 1, right? Most businesses don't do that. And that can be largely in this day and age automated. And you will generate bigger results, faster results, and more leverage for you to fulfill on if you address the real problem, which is conversion and or average order value, which tend to go hand in hand, by the way. And then, by the way, when you fix those 2 levers, the old average order value and the conversion rates, they can then almost always spend more money to get new people, which is what they think they want. So I say that to you guys because there's levels to this where you have to understand that what clients think they want and think they need are different things. And if you address their real problem, not the surface level one they tell you they have, but you address their like real underlying mathematical issues, what will happen is good things for both you and them. That's why Sonny's bragging, I just built the coolest thing ever, because nobody else is following up with their unconverted lead. Everybody's trying to run Facebook ads and SEO and get them strangers because that's what the business told you they wanted. But in reality, like 9 out of 10 of the fucking estimates they give don't close anyway. There's 9 people that they could follow up with and convert, and those will turn into sales faster than strangers off the street and more predictably. Anyways, just wanted to rant on that because I think it's helpful for those of you guys who kind of look at it from a different perspective. Adam says, hey everyone, one of my lead gen clients just had their Google Ads account suspended for unacceptable business practices. I've tried appealing it twice and made some detailed updates to the landing page, but no luck so far. The account is frozen, so I can't edit the ads themselves. Feels like something triggered by a bot, and I keep getting a vague response, so it's difficult to resolve the issue. Has anyone dealt with this recently and managed to get their account reinstated? Would love some any tips or insights. So I have not dealt specifically with the Google Ads version of that. I've dealt personally, Adam, with the Facebook Ads version. Firstly, I can tell you it's like really frustrating because all of a sudden, your cash cow turns off. You got a client going, what the fuck? What did you do? And both Google and Facebook are in the same boat where they have shitty, god awful customer service, and so you don't even know what the fuck you did, and you can't get a real human, you can't get a real response, and there's no, hey, I'm willing to rectify it, just tell me what I did wrong, right? Like those motherfuckers take a month and then give you some copy and paste bullshit. So I'll tell you, from what I know, there's only like 3 ways, and I'm giving you like the real gamut of shit that people do. This is not a recommendation. I'm just being real with you, so because some of these are a little more black hat than others, let's just say. So I'll give you the most black hat one, which is some people just go and make a new fucking account and start all over and do all that shit again. Okay, so I'm neither telling you to do that or not do that. I'm just sharing with you what some people do. The second thing is what you're doing, where you're appealing it. And basically you have to do that over and over and over and over until you get a real fucking human. It often takes like a month, 2 months, 3 months. It's not a quick process, but I have seen people get accounts reinstated from just relentlessly fucking annoying the shit out of Google and not stopping until they go, all right, here's your fucking ad account back. And then the third thing is if you have access to somebody who has an account at a level where they have a real rep, sometimes you can get those real reps to go look at your shit and make actual changes, such as unbanning an account. Sometimes that is not advice. I don't have a real rep personally. I'm not at that level of spend. You know, we run a bunch of YouTube ads, but I don't really spend that much money on it actually. So I just share that with you because it's possible you may have a friend in the agency world who has a rep who can actually get a real human being to look at your account. Usually it's like the reps are triggered by a certain amount of ad spend. So like if I wasn't sure who had a rep, I just might ask my friends, who of my friends is spending X number of dollars on Google ads and has a rep, like a dedicated rep, not just a. Google has tiers of reps, so they have like the lowest level like salesmen in India who know nothing about it and they just tell you to spend more money. They have those reps, but they also have like high level reps that can actually like do shit. And usually only you get those after you spend a certain amount of money. Anyways, enough about that, brother. Last one we got up. By the way, I just mentioned, again, Facebook's doing that thing. I don't see your comments. I know you guys are there, so I'm not forgetting about you guys. Our man Jorge says, I missed the first sentence. He says, hey guys, so I got myself a small test for a holistic doctor to send SMS to his buyers list, and he sells physical products. My question is, I'm also talking with business owners in a specific certification niche, and since their product is digital, what can be a small test I can do for them, because the certification is basically a course? What could be a 2 to 4 hour test I could do quick to not waste time? And these buyers already bought the certification, so I'm guessing I would need to sell those buyers a different working offer that they offer. I'm finally getting momentum, and it's really easy to sell because there's barely any risk for the client. Well, firstly, my dude, nice work for getting the momentum in place, because that's the hardest thing to do in all of this. Just so you know, it's like getting actual fucking traction when you're in the stage you're in can be hard, and it can like send you in the pit of doubt and despair. At least it did for me. So I'm not judging any of you guys who end up in that place. Okay. So generally speaking, if you get these sorts of deals where rather than, hey, I'm going to message new people, you're going to contact their buyers, you are going to sell one of 2 things, okay? The first is, where possible, literally sell more of the shit they just bought. I know this sounds a little bit counterintuitive because everybody thinks, well, they just bought that thing. Why would they buy more of the shit they just bought? And there's all kinds of reasons why people do. All kinds of reasons. Especially for like physical products. Do you want a second one? Do you want a third? Right? Like I bought my little guy a foam sword and shield, and we like fight every morning. He thinks he's like the hero saving the princess from the dragon kind of thing. And I just bought some more, right? So like if you hit me with an offer going, hey, do you want even more foam swords and shields, right? You guys can have a little daddy-son fight in the morning. Like that's the easiest sale you're ever going to make. It's like, you bought this thing once. Would you like to buy more of it? And you can include a bonus or whatever. The second thing where that is not possible is to sell something that is very close and complementary, right? So if you think of like your average restaurant, they got this down pretty pat. Not all of them, but most of them, is when you finish eating dinner, what do they say to you right after? like dessert, right? Do you want some apple pie? Do you want some chocolate? Is there any more room for you to ram some food in that fat gut of yours? That's what they say to me. That dad gut, can you ram more in there? So yeah, I think I could eat a tiramisu. And they upsell you. Okay? So you mentioned digital certifications. I'll tell you some things that can be complementary pieces. So one of those is like a paid support community where they can get ongoing help and questions and things like that. Another can be like a mastermind where the top level people get together and share what's working to accelerate everyone's journey. It can be things like access to the person who runs it. Like, again, like, if whoever the face of the certification is, like if they want extra help from that person. It could be a further certification for the next thing. Like I remember growing up in Canada, we don't have no Second Amendment. So if you want to shoot a gun, you got to like go get a permit. And if you want to shoot big guns, you got to get a second permit. So like, hey, you just bought a permit for guns. Do you want a permit for the even bigger one, right? And this is where you want to start those things. And by the way, part of this is also to identify for you good clients, because imagine you try and sell a second thing to somebody you bought once, and the people tell you, fuck you, where's my refund from the damn certification? I'm not saying that will happen with you, but you'll find out, like, why would you want to take somebody on as a client who's like, screwing their people over and not like actually like, keeping them satiated and happy? The reason I say that is because you want clients that are like doing right by people for the long term, because it's got to be win-win all around. It's got to be a win for you. Obviously, you want to be making money. Your clients have to like win where they're making money off of the deal too. But also like their end customers, whoever that is, has to also be benefiting. And so it also like saves you a lot of headaches, because if you run a campaign and 4 days later people are saying, fuck you, give me a refund from the last one, you don't really need to work with that client long term. You can just like say, not invite them to a second date and pull out. And that does happen sometimes. Although I don't know much about pulling out, since I got 3 kids running around every morning. But you guys can pull out. I recommend it as a strategy. It definitely works. So anyways, just what I wanted to share on that with you is simply because almost always you're going to sell more of what they just bought, or whatever is dessert to the dinner, what complements that thing. If you're not sure, by the way, since it seems like you're doing this for a lot of different businesses, I would ask ChatGPT. I would say, hey, my client sells, or whatever language model you use. I mean, you could use Claude or whatever, but you could just say, hey, my client sells dinner, and people normally come in and buy seafood and potatoes and all kinds of other things. What are like 20 complementary things that would add on to this really nicely? And then I might go back to the client and say, all right, here's 3 of the options I really like. Which one of these do you actually want to fulfill on? And they might say, hey, a paid community sounds cool. Cool. And then you launch a test for a paid community kind of thing. Anyways, I hope that makes sense. That looks like all the questions we got that I can see. Anyways, if you guys are asking them in the comments right now, Facebook loves to cock block it and not show it to me until after the fact. So I don't know what you guys are saying. If you guys are hating on me, I totally understand. I'm a little tired this Monday morning. It's probably not my shiniest, brightest day in all the universe. But I don't know. I'm having a good time managing this crazy thing called life that you guys are all co-creating with me on this journey. So I appreciate you guys. For those of you guys who missed the intro, I'm just working on a bunch of cool things right now to really, I want to see more and more people win at this agency game and have it be easier. I always said, like, I don't think the agency game is easy. I would never sell this as anyone can be a millionaire doing it. I don't think that's true, but I think it can be easier than most people make it. And there can be less mistakes and less challenges. And a big part of that is really like old school fundamental business principles that have never changed in 100 years. I know everybody wants the exciting, like, AI push button, do nothing. But if you understand the principles, you can make your own shit at the speed of light and not be bound by anyone else's rules. And I've given you guys lots of tools and shortcuts for that. So if you're interested, you can check that out. You can go to the old beyondagencyprofits.com, click on the link that says Wolfpack. Talk about the old phoneless meeting, this agency mastermind. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys this Monday morning. I appreciate you all. Happy Monday. May the force be with you. Keep it real.
Buy my book, or I will tell everyone at your high school reunion that you tried to argue Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.